Go. All right, so we're all going to sit back into child's pose. So this, just for recording purposes, is a hybrid yoga class where we're focusing on a little bit of everything. We do often do this on Mondays where we don't have a specific focus, but rather just mix things up. So as we're starting in child's pose, bringing our arms forward, we can do child's pose in so many different ways, so many different nuances to it. But when our arms are forward, we're really stretching our lats. So stretching the lats, stretching the shoulders, and knowing and feeling that we can go as far as where we feel the hips starting to lift. And once that happens, we stop there and drop the hips back down. Noticing here when we're stretching fully like this, that when we inhale, it really feels like an increase of the stretch. And speaking of inhaling, if we can here, breathing through the nose and maybe using Ujjayi breathing. That's where we constrict the throat and it creates this kind of ocean sound. And then walking your hands over to the right. And walking so far to the right as you start feeling how the left hip starts lifting. And then you rotate it back down. Rotate that left shoulder down, left hip down. Just taking a moment to observe the body, see where you feel the stretch. And then you might experiment with it and say, okay, well, what happens if I lower the shoulder more? What happens if I lift it more? How does the stretch change? And then after a while, settling in with the stretch and take a few deep breaths here. And then walking over to the left side and feeling that stretch in the right side body, dropping the right hip and the right shoulder. Observing the body for a moment. And then back to center. And bring your hands back by your feet here. Another way to do child's pose. Dropping your shoulders down, kind of draping over your knees. Deep, full breath. This is a good variation of child's pose, especially if you've done downward dog and planks, because you're noticing how your wrists can relax here. And then bring the arms forward again. And this time around, curl the toes under. So you're going to lift your hips and curl the toes under and sit back into the heels. With your arms forward, maybe you can give yourself a little push down and into the heels. And then from here, making your way into downward dog, hips up and back. So if this is your first downward dog of the day and you're not super warmed up yet, really take it easy as you pedal the heels. Don't overdo it. So other movement you might take in downward dog is to open up the hips from side to side. And see if you can, in your downward dog, see if you can kind of lift away from the shoulders. So in other words, if I really sort of sink into it, I'll feel my head going closer to the floor. But how about if I really find energy upward? So kind of pushing my head off the floor away from the floor. And then coming forward to plank, and let's take 3 breaths here in plank. 3 big breaths. And then back to downward dog, 3 breaths. And then forward to plank, 3 breaths. Downward dog, 3 breaths. Forward to plank, 3 breaths. Back to downward dog, 3 breaths, last one. Again, shoulders drawing up and away from the floor. Head does the same. And stepping or jumping forward to the hands and hanging ragdoll. Continuing to stretch your back, stretch your glutes. Nodding the head yes, shaking no. And for those of you just joining us, let's do another shoulder rotation here. So lifting just enough that the fingertips are no longer on the floor. Make a circle with your right hand. This is the stretch you'll see swimmers often do to release through the shoulders, switching directions. So the less you can drive your arm here, the better. Like really just let momentum take over. And then over on the left side, make a circle. And then shifting directions. And then finding stillness there and rolling all the way up to standing and taking your time. And once you're all the way up in Tadasana, feet about hip width apart. I like to do Tadasana with the feet hip width apart because very few people have such narrow hips that standing with the feet together is actually aligned with the hips. And so the whole idea of alignment is to be efficient body movement and positioning. Lifting the toes, planting them back down, softness in the knees, checking in with the hips here. So you're tucking the tailbone under. In other words, many of us have a tendency to come forward if we're standing up tall. Let's see if you can hold the belly and tuck the tailbone under in that position. And then as you move up through the body, palms facing forward, chin parallel to the floor. Standing up as tall as you can. And then from there, arms out to a T, palms forward, shoulders dropping. Opening wide, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Inhaling the arms up, palms together, and drop the shoulders down. Exhaling the arms forward and tucking the chin. And then from here, taking your hands to your head and elbows together and rocking from side to side. And then back to center, releasing the arms down. And then from here, we're going to do some chest and neck work, shoulder work. If you see your strap around, locating it with your eyes, we're going to use it a little bit. From here, turn your head to the left. And back to center. And to the right. And back to center. And when we're doing this, maybe organizing the breath, so you inhale and turn. And exhale back. And inhale and turn. And exhale back. Let's do 2 more. Inhaling, turning. Exhale back. And last one. Inhaling, turning. And exhale back. And then shoulders up towards the ears and holding. And then gently coming back down. Inhaling up. And exhale down. One more time, inhaling up. And exhale down. So keeping both shoulders down as you tilt the head to the left. This is that tendency for the right shoulder to lift, but making sure it stays down. And then from that position, take your left hand to your head, right hand to the sacrum, and maybe this is enough, or maybe you want to push a little bit, maybe you want to bring that right shoulder back a little bit more. See how that feels? But feeling the stretch there throughout the right side. And then from that position, doing a slight change in the angle of the head here so that the stretch moves from the side of the neck to the back of the neck. And there you might stay still or you might rock from side to side, chin from side to side. And then releasing your arms down and inhaling the head up and over to the other side, tilting your head, both shoulders down and back. Take your right hand to your head, left hand to your sacrum. Feeling that stretch on the side of the neck. And then shifting slightly again, chin towards the chest. And feeling that stretch throughout the back of the neck. Maybe rocking from side to side a few times. And releasing back to center, releasing the arms down and inhaling the head up. And shoulder rotations, inhaling the shoulders up and forward and exhale down and back. Inhaling up and forward and exhale down and back. One more time in that direction, inhaling up and forward and exhale down and back. And then shifting directions, inhaling up and back, exhale down and forward, inhale up and back, exhale down and forward. One more time, inhaling up and back and exhaling down and forward and release. From here, hands to heart center, a few deep breaths, but without folding over. So I'm back in Tadasana and inhaling the arms up and exhale the arms down. Through the nose if you can, inhaling up and exhale down. One more time, inhaling up and exhale, heart center. Take a moment here with your eyes closed and just feeling the breath in your hands, your chest, and your back. And then releasing back down, grabbing your strap or your towel or whatever you're using for shoulder rotations. Could also be one of those elastic bands that we use for strength training. Whatever works here for you, whatever you have handy. Main thing is here to keep slack in the band so that you're not, forcing it. The band is here primarily so that your arms are moving at the same rate, same pace, as opposed to, creating tension. So inhaling up and exhale behind you. Inhaling up and exhale in front. Inhaling up and exhale behind you. Inhaling up and exhaling in front. And as you're doing this, paying attention to your torso. Is it moving forward? Are you arching? Or are you able to stay straight? Keep tucking the tailbone under. We've got some stretching over here by the dog. Inhaling up and exhale back. Inhale up and exhale forward. Let's do one more round. Inhaling up and exhale back. The last one. Inhaling up and exhale forward. From here, take your right hand and drop that right hand behind you and walking your other hand up until they meet. Main thing here, alignment wise, is that right elbow should not be pushing on your head or your neck. Breathing into it. And then switching sides. So again, if you are right-handed, like I am, you might find that this side is a little bit tougher. So I've got my left elbow up and I'm going to try to meet with that right hand, but as you see, it's not easy because that right shoulder is tight. So maybe I use the strap more on this side. Breathing here. Keep tucking the tailbone under, finding a straight back. And if you came in late, we're recording this class, which is why I'm not making any, not mentioning any names or making any comments about you guys, but I can make a general statement. Well done. And release. And shake it out. So before we come back down to the floor, we're going to do a little balancing here. And we're going to still focus on chest and shoulders. And so some of you know that that means back bending and holding in that horizontal position, for example, with working your back. So we're going to do a little bit of both. Take your right leg back 3 or 4 feet and arms up. And here's your high lunge. From that high lunge, we're going to open up towards the ceiling. So back bending, chest is open. These are called goddess arms. Bending at the elbow. And then coming back to center and moving into warrior 3. Now warrior 3 again works your core. So you're going to lift that right leg up and arms out. And the reason we do arms out is to ensure that the back stays straight. Now, the back foot, if it's pointing outward, open hip here, you're working your glutes a little bit less. So see if you can have the toes point down. In other words, dropping the hip. Holding, breathing here. Holding for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming into warrior 1 and holding there for a few moments. Right shoulder forward, right hip forward. And then from here, hands to your waist. And then draw that right leg forward and lift and hold. So you might just hold the knee up, or you might hold on to the knee as you stand up tall. And holding 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And release and shake it out. And then over to the other side. So I'm back in Tadasana, and I'm taking my left leg back 3 or 4 feet, and heel is up, arms up. Heel is up so that when we come into warrior 3, we're more likely to keep our hips square. Arms open up, chest opens up towards the ceiling, back bending. And then back to center, hands to heart center. And then hinging forward all the way into the right and lifting arms out again to ensure that we keep the back straight. Checking in on the back foot. Is it pointing down? If it's pointing down, I'm likely to use more glute strength. And then holding there for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Coming into a warrior 1. That means heel down in the back. That rotation, left hip forward, left shoulder forward, holding here. And then from there, hands to your waist, drawing that left leg forward and lifting your knee up and holding for a count of 8, maybe holding onto the knee, finding a spot on the front wall and focusing there as you count down 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and shake it out. Back into Tadasana, hands to heart center. Just a few deep breaths here. Inhaling, arms up. And exhale, arms down. Inhaling, the arms up. And exhale down. One more time, inhaling up. And exhale, heart center. From here, stepping back the right leg 3 or 4 feet into a warrior 1. There's your warrior 1, back shoulder forward, back hip forward. Then open up to warrior 2. Tuck the tailbone under. From warrior 2, take your hands to your waist and then pivot the left foot towards the right. So both feet are pointing the same direction here. As you start hinging forward, doing so with the idea at least that the back is going to be parallel, that the torso is parallel to the floor. At some point, you'll find there's a restriction. The limitation is in your hamstrings. In that case, bend your knees here, because we're not doing this for hamstring stretch primarily. We're doing it for back work. Then take one hand and place it on your back just for a moment, doing a little diagnostic here. Let's see what's going on. So we're feeling, you should feel the spine as like an indentation, a riverbed. If you're feeling a Tyrannosaurus Rex, well, not a Tyrannosaurus, what are they called? Triceratops, then not right. It should not be a ridge, it should be a divot. That's your spine. And then arms forward and hold. So holding here, back is straight, and holding for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Then arms out wide. And if this feels too heavy, take your hands to behind your ears instead, and holding 8, 7, 6, out wide, 5 to a T, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Arms forward, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Out wide to a T, 8, 7, 6. Check on the ridge, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and release. Arms all the way down to the floor, relaxing through the shoulders, wrists, neck, and breathing here. And then take your hands to your waist and rolling all the way up to standing. If it feels hard on your back, that's because you're working your back. This is engaging those muscles of the back. So same kind of exercise as doing warrior 3 or flies, reverse flies, or rows, all working your back. From this position, coming into warrior 2. From warrior 2 to warrior 1, that back foot at a 45-degree angle forward. And then from there, as you draw the right leg forward, come into a quad stretch or dancer's pose, lifting that right leg up or right foot towards your hip and arms up. Left arm up, hip forward. And see if you can keep your knees together. So if you start hanging and you notice how that left hip is jutting out, that's going to be less intense of a stretch for your quads. If you can keep your hips parallel, that's the most effective way to do it. And then releasing back down and shake it out. All right, we're going to do some stretching on the left side instead, but approaching it the same way from warrior 1. So take the left leg back 3 or 4 feet, heel down, arms up, warrior 1. Left shoulder forward, left hip forward. From warrior 1 to warrior 2. Tuck the tailbone under, arms up. And then take your hands to your waist and pivoting the right foot towards the left. So now again, both feet are pointing in the same direction. And then coming all the way down to the floor, hands to the floor. This time around, just releasing to the back of the neck, shoulders. Walking your hands back, turning them around, bending and lengthening here as you, almost like you're trying to pull yourself through the legs, through that tunnel. Breathing into it. So generally speaking, we want to do that exhale as we lengthen. And then walking your hands over to the right, bending and lengthening here. And then twisting. Take your left hand around that right ankle, right hand to the hip, rotating, looking over the shoulder, right arm up, lifting, holding here, twisting. And then releasing back to center, walking over to the left side, bending and lengthening here. Pull yourself towards that leg. And then when you're ready, twisting right hand around the ankle, left hand hip, rotating, stacking the shoulders, left arm up perhaps. Breathing, breathing here. And then releasing back to center. Just releasing your shoulders, wrists, neck. And then taking your hands to your waist and rolling all the way up to standing. And coming back the same way we did on the other side. So first, warrior two. From warrior two to warrior one, back foot 45 degrees. From warrior one into dancers or quad stretch. Hands to your waist, draw the left leg forward, lifting, holding. And again, as you're doing this one, hips forward, knees parallel, and holding. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and release. And shake it out. Hands to heart center. This time around, we're going to fold over as we exhale. Inhaling the arms up. And exhaling, folding over all the way down. Staying in that forward fold for a few moments. Maybe doing a variation that feels good to you. That could be holding on to opposite elbow. That could be sliding the hands underneath the feet, palms up. That could be hands behind you, interlacing fingers or holding onto your wrists. Tucking the chin. And then releasing any hold you might have. Inhaling halfway up. And then exhaling all the way down, planting your hands, stepping back to plank. And holding that plank, just like you did before, drawing the shoulders away from the ears. Tuck the tailbone under and holding 3 breaths. And then pushing back into downward dog, 3 breaths. Forward to plank, 3 breaths. Keep engaging your core. Back to downward dog, 3 breaths. Last round, coming forward into plank, 3 breaths. And then back into downward dog, 3 breaths. And then releasing back into child's pose. Maybe it's arms forward, maybe it's arms back, maybe it's arms back because you want to relax through your wrists and shoulders. And remember, in child's pose, if you wanted to also stretch your ankles, you would put your heels together and your knees together and sit back into the heels. And that way stretching the front of the ankle. But maybe that's not comfortable, not for you, but just so you know. And then hands underneath the shoulders, pushing yourself up. Coming into what I call diamond stretch. So swing the legs forward and then soles of the feet together, holding onto your ankles here. And then from here, pulling yourself down towards the floor. Maybe you make it to your heels. Maybe you make it all the way down to the floor. Either way, stretching your back, stretching your glutes. And then rolling all the way up. And then legs forward, roll ups, roll downs. Again, if you have a hard time going all the way down to the floor, you might just hold on to your thighs and make it halfway. Coming down for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1 back up. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, maybe incorporating a little hamstring stretch by reaching forward even more, and then coming back down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 back up. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 back down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Last one. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take your hands underneath your legs, maybe holding on to opposite elbow as you round through the back and drop your head down. Maybe forehead to your knees. And then releasing there. Let's do another twist here. We've done a couple already, but let's continue. Left leg crosses the right. And then from there, bring the knee in tightly towards the chest and sitting up tall. Breathing into it. And then from there, let that right hand take over, left hand behind you, inhaling, lifting, and exhaling, twisting. Inhaling, lifting, and exhaling, twisting. Perhaps deepening the stretch by taking the elbow outside the thigh, inhaling, lifting, and leverage there as you exhale, twist. Inhale, lift, and exhale, twist. One more time, inhaling, lifting, and exhaling, twisting. And then releasing back to center and just shake it out here. And over to the other side. Take your right leg across the left and pull that knee in tightly. Sitting up tall. And then starting the twist, left hand around or left arm around, right arm behind you. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist. Definitely feeling a little tight there today. Inhale, lift. And exhale, twist. Maybe elbow outside. Inhale, lift. And exhale, twist. Inhale, lift. And exhale, twist. One more time. Inhaling, lifting. And exhaling, twisting. And back to center. Maybe doing one more forward fold here. Legs forward, arms around or underneath the knees, rounding through the back. And then releasing there and rolling all the way down. Once you come down to the floor, reaching the body up, arms overhead and stretching here. We're going to do some hip stretching. Place the feet to standing, knees in towards the chest, and rolling on your back from side to side, maybe making a circle with your knees. And then from there, bring your left knee in towards the chest, right leg on the floor, pulling in tightly. Maybe doing some ankle turns. Definitely keeping that right leg active on the floor. Left hand to your left kneecap and make a circle. You might say, why active? What does that even mean? Well, if you're engaging the leg, you're more likely to get a hip flexor stretch than if you're sort of just letting it flop open and flop out. Switching directions if you haven't yet. And then placing the right foot to the inside, left foot to the inside of the right thigh, opening up that hip and arms out. I guess it doesn't matter which side you start with really, but anyway, tree pose here. Tree pose on the floor. And then we take advantage of that to do some snow angels with the arms. So arms overhead, making that full circle. And then coming back down. And as I did that, I inadvertently touched the puppy, but he didn't really wake up. Just doing a little stretch. And then settling in with the T shape of the arms, palms up. And then here, placing the feet to standing. And taking the left leg, crossing the right. Knees over to the right, left arm out to the left. Dropping the knees down on that side and the shoulder on the other. And breathing. So twists, again, so important for shoulder health, creating that mobility, range of motion throughout the back and the shoulders, the chest. And then back to center, knees in towards the chest, giving them a little squeeze here. So let's do some abs here while we're at it. So either arms alongside the floor and doing bicycle here, or you might do fingertips behind the ears and twisting the upper body towards the knee. We're going to do 1 minute here. Breathing into it. A little bit left to go. Ten seconds left. And release. Knees in towards the chest and rolling on your back. Oftentimes we'll do a lot more than that. But for today, we're going to leave it at that and bring the right knee in towards the chest, left leg on the floor, and making more circles here with the ankles. Engaging that left leg, and take the right hand to the kneecap and make a circle. Big circle here. And then shifting directions. Placing the right foot to the inside, the left thigh, open up the tendency here then is to tilt the pelvis forward. So to counteract that, we want to engage the abs, pull the belly in, maybe even feeling the abs with our hands to make sure it's engaged. We might also take a hand to try to stick it underneath the lower back, and we want to be stopped. We want to make sure that that tunnel is closed. Arms out to a T, and then arms up like a snow angel. Breathing into it. And then coming back to center, arms out to a T, palms up, feet to standing, and right leg crosses the left. Knees over to the left, right arm out to the right. And then back to center, knees in towards the chest, and giving them a little squeeze. All right, so we are going to settle into Shavasana, and we only have a few moments here. I like soles of the feet together, knees wide. Others like legs up the wall, but see if you can really kind of disengage the back here, and that means elevating the legs or keeping the soles of the feet together, knees wide. Right hand on the belly, left hand on the heart. Shoulders drawing away from the ears and chin tucking. Big full breath. You hear me breathing through the mouth, but that's because I'm talking. If you can continue just breathing through the nose, that's a more relaxing breath. We're going to do a body scan here where we start with the face. Releasing through the forehead and the temples, eyebrows and the eyelids, cheeks and jaw. Continuing down through the neck, the shoulders, arms, hands, and fingers. Continuing down through the torso and the hips, the legs and the feet, the toes. With each exhale, relaxing, feeling as if you are melting into the mat. Continuing to deepen and lengthen the breath. And then from there, let's take 5 deep breaths together, inhaling. And exhaling. Inhaling. And exhaling. And inhaling. And exhaling. And inhaling. And exhaling. And one more time, inhaling. And exhaling. And coming back to a more normal breath, and place the feet to standing. And bring the knees in towards the chest. Rolling on your back. Rolling over to the right side, creating a pillow with the hands and resting there. And then pushing yourself up into easy pose. And hands to heart center. Finding length in the spine here. And in the yoga tradition, we end class by acknowledging the light and the love within all of us. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to stop the recording.